The small vet clinic was quiet, with only the soft sound of the clock ticking and the occasional rustling of papers. It was the end of a long, exhausting day for Dr. Ahmed, the vet. He had prepared himself for this moment many times, but it never got any easier. He stood at his station, silently watching as the old dog, named Max, lay on the exam table. Max had been a loyal companion for nearly 12 years. His once shiny fur had turned gray, and his eyes, which were once full of life, had begun dull with age and illness. Max's owner, Sarah, sat next to him, gently stroking his fur. She was clearly heartbroken. The decision had already been made. Max was ready to be put down. His health had deteriorated rapidly in the past few months, and despite the treatments and medications, it was clear that he was suffering. Sarah, Dr. Ahmed said gently, walking toward the table, "Are you sure about this? We can try something else, if you want." But Sarah shook her head, her eyes welling with tears. "I've thought about it," Sarah replied, her voice trembling. "I don't want him to suffer anymore. I think it's time. He's been a part of my life for so long. I can't let him go on like this." Dr. Ahmed nodded quietly. He knew it was the right decision, but the weight of the situation still felt heavy. He prepared the injection, the one that would end Max's pain. But just as he was about to administer it, something unexpected happened. Max, with what little strength he had left, slowly raised his head and looked up at Sarah. With a weak whine, he gently nudged her, almost as if he were asking for one last hug. Sarah, her heart breaking, bent down and wrapped her arms around Max. He nestled into her arms, his tired body pressing against hers, as though he was trying to hold on just a little bit longer. The room was filled with silence, except for the soft sound of Sarah's sobs. Max's tail, though weak, wagged slightly. It was a moment of pure love and connection between a pet and its owner, a moment neither of them would ever forget. But just as the embrace lingered, something caught Dr. Ahmed's attention. He stood still, watching them closely, but his eyes were no longer focused on the emotion in the room. Something didn't feel right. He had seen this situation many times before, but this time there was something odd. Something wasn't adding up. Dr. Ahmed's mind raced as he studied Max's condition closely. He had examined Max before the procedure, and everything had pointed to the fact that the dog's time was running out. Max's heart rate was low, his breathing was labored, and his body was frail. But now, watching him in Sarah's arms, something didn't make sense. Max's breathing, though still shallow, seemed more steady than it had been earlier. His heartbeat, which had been erratic, was now showing signs of stability. Dr. Ahmed moved closer, his brow furrowed with concern. The dog was still weak, but the signs he had initially seen weren't as severe as they should have been. He glanced at Sarah, unsure whether he should interrupt the moment they were sharing. But his instincts as a vet told him to trust what he was feeling. This wasn't right. Something was off. "Sarah," Dr. Ahmed said softly, his voice almost a whisper, "I think we need to check Max again. There's something I need to confirm." Sarah looked up at him, her tear-filled eyes filled with confusion. "What do you mean?" "He's ready, Dr. Ahmed. We've already made the decision." "I know," Dr. Ahmed replied, "but something's not adding up. Please, just give me a moment." Sarah hesitated, but then nodded, unsure of what was happening. Dr. Ahmed gently lifted Max from Sarah's arms and placed him on the examination table once more. He started running a series of tests, the room filled with the beeping of machines as he worked quickly. With every passing minute, the unease in Dr. Ahmed's chest grew. Max's condition had improved in ways he couldn't explain. His heart rate had become more stable. His breathing had normalized slightly. It was as though the dog was somehow fighting back. As the test continued, Dr. Ahmed's mind raced. He had seen animals on the verge of death before, but this wasn't like anything he had encountered. The lab results came in, and as he scanned the screen, his eyes widened. Max's condition was not as bad as he had originally thought. In fact, it wasn't even close. The signs of severe illness had been there, but they had been misinterpreted. The dog wasn't dying in the way they had assumed. His organs were functioning better than expected. The blood test revealed an issue with his medication, A simple error in dosage had caused Max's body to react poorly, giving him symptoms similar to those of a dying animal. But Max was not at death's door. Dr. Ahmed couldn't believe what he was seeing. He quickly ran more tests to confirm, his heart pounding in his chest. He had to be sure. The tests showed the same results. Max was not in the critical condition they had thought. He could be treated. Sarah, Dr. Ahmed said, his voice a little shakier now, I think we made a mistake. Sarah looked at him in disbelief. What do you mean? What's happening? Max isn't dying, Dr. Ahmed explained. It looks like he's suffering from a reaction to his medication, but it's not as severe as we thought. He's been misdiagnosed. With the right treatment, he can recover. The words didn't fully register with Sarah at first. She stared at Dr. Ahmed, unsure whether she had heard him correctly. Her mind raced. Had they almost made the wrong decision? Had they almost said goodbye to Max forever when there was still hope? Dr. Ahmed quickly got to work, putting together a treatment plan for Max. He knew it wouldn't be easy, and the road to recovery would be long. But there was hope. The dog wasn't beyond saving. With the right care, Max could recover and live a happy life again. Sarah, still in shock, sat quietly by Max's side as Dr. Ahmed administered the necessary medication. She couldn't believe the turn of events. Just moments ago, she had been preparing to say goodbye, and now there was a chance she never thought would come. Max was still weak, but his body was responding well to the medication. Dr. Ahmed carefully monitored his progress, checking his vitals and making adjustments as needed. Over the next few days, Max's condition improved. Slowly, the dog started to regain some of his strength. The once sickly animal now had the energy to lift his head and wag his tail. Sarah spent every moment by Max's side, holding him, comforting him, and praying for his recovery. Every small improvement brought tears of joy to her eyes. It felt like a miracle. It had been a few weeks since Max's condition started to improve. The dog was no longer the frail animal he had been before. His energy had returned, and his coat had begun to shine again. Max was, in many ways, back to his old self. Sarah was overjoyed. She couldn't believe how quickly Max had recovered. It felt as though a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. The bond between her and Max had always been strong, but after everything they had been through, it felt even stronger. Thank you, Dr. Ahmed, Sarah said one day, looking at the vet with gratitude in her eyes. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't noticed the signs. You saved him. You saved us both. Dr. Ahmed smiled. It wasn't just me, Sarah. It was Max. He fought, and that made all the difference. We just gave him the chance. Max, now healthy again, ran around the yard, his tail wagging happily. Sarah watched with tears in her eyes, knowing that she'd been given a gift, the gift of more time with her beloved companion. They had both been given a second chance. The vet had stopped everything just in time. Max's life had been saved. And for Sarah, that was all that mattered.